Welcome to the Celebrating Women podcast as Ashley Fisher and Mandee Montana dig into conversation about women, their issues, their thoughts, their lives, and celebrate their gifts, their talents, their courage. It's the Celebrating Women podcast. Well, we find ourselves here again.
Yay.
It's Mandee Montana with Ashley Fisher, the Celebrating Women podcast, and today we have our first guest.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
I'm excited.
Oh, and here she is, Brooke Droptini. Brooke and I have been friends for a long time, and I've admired her professionally for a long time, too. We met volunteering. Brooke, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, if somebody said, hey, Brooke, what do you do? How would you answer that question?
Well, first, I guess I am a wife and a mom, and that is a lot of what I do. And then here lately, I find myself being an entrepreneur, which is totally new territory for me, but I am juggling it the best I can, and we'll see what happens, right?
Yes. So I know a little bit about your entrepreneur journey from being your friend and from participating a little bit. But for someone who's never met you, tell us about you as an entrepreneur.
Well, I went to college and actually got a degree as a civil engineer because that is, very logical, and figured out that served a part of my brain very well. And I had nearly a 20-year career designing roads and bridges and all the fun things that people take for granted. And quickly, started to just realize as I advanced in my career and grew a little bit further that I wasn't fully fulfilled, and that there was a whole nother half of me, the more creative side, the more artistic piece of me that just wasn't being served as an engineer. And so I started just feeling this tug, which, I felt like it was God kind of leading me to find the path that I'm supposed to be on. And, so in I believe it actually was founded in 2018. I started a design firm called LittleCreek+Co. Took me a little bit to get some courage to actually do something with it. So in 2019, I started working that from a part-time angle and helping basically others build homes that align with how they live, work, and play was essentially the goal of the business. And so started there and have grown that now into basically a full-time gig. And now that's what I do.
How cool is that? You know what I love about that is you said that it took you a minute to get the courage to make that happen. You kind of sat on it for a little bit. I love how, especially with these entrepreneurial journeys, courage precedes confidence so much of the time. So good job. Your courage, and now do you feel like you're kind of stepping into more of a confident role, or you're working on it? Mandee's shaking her head. Yes.
I'm nodding. Yes. Yes.
I'm nodding.
She's gaining confidence. I've seen as her friend.
Okay. Well, good. I think everybody struggles with that, right? I mean, there's a whole list of things that any person, whether you're a business owner or an employee or whatever you're doing in life, you always kind of struggle with putting yourself out there and going the path that you're supposed to go in. So I have days that it's like, yes, I am rocking this, and then there's other days that it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. Would you call that maybe dealing with imposter syndrome sometimes? I know I have dealt with that so often as a photographer where, there's just something when you show up and you're the guy or you're the girl, it's on you and you're going, y'all are trusting me with this. Which I know I can handle. It's that you can do it, but it's just a little bit oh, wow. Okay, I'm on now. It's me. You ever struggle with that?
Yeah, but I look at it a little differently.
Okay.
So, a lot of my journey I look at through a lens of faith.
Yeah.
And so I believe it is the devil, trying to get me away from something that I'm supposed to be doing, that I've been called to do. And so with that, and just like I tell my girls, it's just those days. It's all right, Satan, get behind me. I don't have time for this crap today. And we're just going to push forward on it. So I don't know if it's so much as imposter syndrome, as it's just obstacles seen and unseen that you gotta push behind you and just do it.
Yeah.
And figure it out as you're doing it.
That's awesome.
This is part of how we bonded. So Brooke and I met volunteering with Heart of Tyler downtown. And in that process, we both served as board members and then on the executive board. And Brooke was the president of Heart of Tyler the year before I was. So I was kind of in a step-up position where I was following her lead. And as you can tell, she is, just from listening to her speak, to, I'm pretty confident about what I do. It's not what she said, but I think it's hard for women to say that, right?
Yeah.
I think
we
that's
don't
part
feel
of the
allowed to say that, I think,
part
sometimes.
of the reason that we started the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like Brooke's just going to get on social media and be like, I'm confident at what I do. This is who I am. I'm incredible. Women don't do that. She is incredible. But I recognize that in watching her lead in the nonprofit space and then dealing with my own self-doubt following her, because we had very different careers.
Yeah.
So when she's working for the state at TxDOT, she's managing a team and she's managing really large projects and large budgets, and there's all the kinds of strategy and different things that she's managing, and she did it just beautifully from my perspective. And I would get on the radio and talk about like who's going to be in a concert series in Dallas. It's just a very different level of a job. Now, I do realize the average person is not going to be able to walk up to a microphone, turn it on, and be able to speak. I'm not trying to diminish what I do.
Right.
Just the contrast in leadership was different, because I could walk into the room and lead the board meeting, but I felt like I didn't have, I was going to say something inappropriate, to back it up.
Do it. No.
The stones to back it up.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have the management skills. I wasn't leading a team. Not in the way that Brooke did. And so I really admired her work and I wanted to learn from her. And so our friendship developed when we were put into a situation with a nonprofit where we had to negotiate a contract with the city of Tyler. And I'm going, contracts?
Yeah,
what
right.
are contracts? Oh my gosh. Like, how do I manage that? That's the voice inside my head of like inexperience and I don't know what I'm doing. When in fact, Brooke really led me beautifully to, it's not about you. It's about the team that you surround yourself with. So who do you know on this team and this group of volunteers that you can borrow their expertise from,
that's
get them
great.
in a room together and just lead the
Let
conversation.
them do their thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes. And so like I was just in this self-doubt of, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
And she's just an incredible leader, not only in her field, but like as a friend and in that space where she was like, snap out of it.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You
I
can
love
do
that.
this.
See, that is women celebrating women. And again, no lines of competition there. Just, hey, first of all, you can do this. Second of all, here's, let me help you see how you can do this. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it all, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. It's actually a team. I love that. I think that's awesome. We all need a friend like that.
Which is part of the reason I wanted to invite you onto the podcast, because in my mind where I see this going, and I know we've spoken about this some, is that I want this to feel like community. I want people to feel like they know you, and that if they wanted to be a part of your team, or if they wanted your leadership skills or they wanted your design skills, that they would feel confident being able to reach out to you and be like, oh yeah, she's actually a really interesting person, a really talented designer, somebody that I would want to work with, because I feel that way about you. I just feel like you're incredible and I just want to share you with the world.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So tell me a little bit more about, you mentioned this earlier when you were describing your design firm. You said it really quickly, but I want you to expound upon it. Live, work, play.
Yes, because you already grabbed my attention, because before today, I had no idea exactly what it was that you did. And when you said that, I went, oh, because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm like, oh, okay, tell me more about that.
So in 2018, I had my third baby. And 48 hours before we went to the hospital to have her, I was in this panic mode because the house that we were living in at the time, although it was like our perfect house, it couldn't fit another human. Like, we had to do something about that. And so 48 hours before I gave birth, I did what any logical person would do. I signed and bought a house that was halfway constructed, and
Of course you did.
totally, right?
Why not?
Makes total logical sense.
That's nesting on a whole other level right there.
So the house was in the drive, but it pretty much had studs inside of it. So it had a roof, it had some walls, and that was it.
Okay.
And so I gave birth on a Saturday. So Monday comes around, and I strap the newborn baby to my chest, and we go to the job site because it's time to finish out the house.
Oh, my
Yes.
word.
Third baby's a very strong woman already.
Oh,
and
listen.
She's 5. So we go to the job site, and basically maternity leave, we finish out the house, and we do all the selections and all those things. Well, fast forward doing that and, thinking at that point in time, well, a house is just about, pretty things. I mean, if I pick the right flooring and I pick beautiful tile, then the house is going to be perfect for us. And we moved in, and about 6 months after living in it, we realized that the house is not perfect for us. It has beautiful tile, it has gorgeous floors, but there's no function behind it. So it's missing this key element to where it actually serves what we need from a family standpoint. And what we learned, or what I learned as I dug a little bit deeper into this, is that we all have things that we are meant to carry out in life and things that we're supposed to do. And the space that we do that in, whether it's work or at the office or if it's at home, it can either support those goals and that purpose, or it can hinder us. And just started kind of doing a deep dive and realizing, okay, there's a lot to form and function when it comes into design. And so that's kind of where we birthed this idea. So my husband and I, still very self-focused. I hate to say that, but that's how it started. We were like, well, then we just have to do it, better for ourselves. And so we started looking in town for a designer that took these ideas and were able to put it on paper and design a home that really started thinking about, okay, well, this is how we come in at night. This is how we store our stuff. This is how we cook. This is how we entertain. This is how I want these sight lines to look. I want good flow. I want privacy in my master retreat. Like all these things. And the more and more I talked like that with various designers in town, the more and more crazy looks I got. And
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And we never got anywhere on paper.
Wow.
So it was like, dang it, that's not cool. And so we backed up and punt, and it was like, okay, well, maybe we have to do this ourselves, and this is just one of our personal issues, right? Like this is something we're struggling with, but not necessarily everybody else. But as I started talking to other people and realizing how they're living and working in their spaces, this is kind of a common theme problem that a lot of people face. And so naturally kind of the attention, the self-serving role that, I started out with, it shifted. And it was like, okay, well, others are having these same challenges, so let's fix this for others. And of course, there's that one first brave soul that says, I'll pay you to do that.
Yes.
And it's like, oh.
Bless them, because that's the one, right? That's the one that starts like kind of building the fire. Like, oh, okay.
That's the one. And so I had that one, and it was like, okay, great. Well, then, so we basically created what Little Creek is now. And so we start at the very early concept stages. And so where instead of waiting to where we have the house done and we need to pull out those pretty Pinterest pictures or anything like that, we start with those.
Okay.
And so we start with inspirational spaces. We start with what moves you and how do you work in your home. So are you one of those people that you are simply there to hit the bed and out the door again? Then great. I think we need to put a little bit more attention in those sanctuary spaces, your bedroom and all that. Or are you the people that your house is an open door and you have people there 24/7 and you love to entertain and indoor, outdoor space is key? Great. we need to put a little bit more square footage and attention in those areas versus. And so we start that very early on in the conversation. We also bring in an element of budget. I know that is like a 4-letter word for some people. The B word. Because it's really great to have all these dreams and vision for your space, but if you can't afford it,
Right.
then that's simply where they live, right? They live in a vision in your head, and they're never a reality. And so we figure out, okay, giving your end goals for how you want your space to do, the available budgets that you have to make that happen, then let's come up with the best game plan for you.
That's great.
And we build from there.
That's great.
And so floor plans, that's basically the floor plans and the construction stages of it. We carry that inspiration through to the material selections, how we finish out a space. And then, to me, the jewelry of a home is the furnishings pieces of it. And so then we help identify what are the best furnishings for you and your lifestyle, and we'll furnish it. So turnkey
awesome.
from beginning to end for our clients.
Do you love it?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, it's you get lost in it. So anybody will tell you when you're following your purpose and your path, then it doesn't seem like work. That's what it is for me. So not to say there's not challenging days or challenging clients. I think we all have those in our life.
I've never experienced that myself.
Challenging
but-
clients, they exist. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Even the ones you love the most, sometimes the ones you love the most can be the most challenging, right? If you work with friends and family, if you've ever experienced
man.
that as a client, sometimes their expectations of you are different.
Never work with friends and family. Okay, never work
Never?
with friends.
I'm just kidding.
If you would like them to continue to be friends and family, don't work with friends and family.
Okay, if you say so. You said something, and I want to circle back to it. Actually, we didn't touch it, and that's why I want to circle back to it. It's something I was thinking about, so scratch that thought. The contrast between you talking about getting lost in it, this is your passion, this is your purpose with Little Creek. It felt different when you were an employee, I would assume, to some degree. I mean, not that you didn't enjoy your job or enjoy what you're doing. And I know you're a unicorn in that, like, you are super logical and strategic and also brilliantly creative and artistic, which is rare that people use both sides of their brain the way that you do. But does it feel differently working for yourself and working as an entrepreneur versus being an employee?
Absolutely. I think, and I think that people can exist and tap into whatever their strengths is. Not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, right? Like that's,
Yes,
that's
I do know that. It's a challenge.
Some people their gift is being that employee and coming alongside somebody else's idea and vision and dream and bringing that to life. And I think those people are just as important and just as critical to success of the entrepreneur as the entrepreneur is themselves. When I was an employee, and maybe it would have been different if I was kind of in a different field, but what I did find was I was using kind of I think left is logical and so I was using that kind of side of my brain and I was checking a lot of boxes, right? Because engineers, love them or not, they're very logical people and they're problem solvers and they have this magic about them. I think it's sexy, right? Ooh, that's why I married one.
I was going to say, did you marry an engineer?
I did. Actually, I married an electrical engineer, which is like the nerdiest of nerds in the engineering field. Like we judge ourselves and there's levels of engineers. And in college, I had some electrical friends, but they got me through circuits and they were not the ones at the party on Saturday night. But they make great husbands.
All
check,
right.
check. So I was doing that kind of side of it. Now, in the role that I'm fulfilling and helping others I have the creative piece of it too. And so I'm lit up because I think, my purpose is using both sides of my brain. And I have learned through different conversations, there's not a lot of people who bounce back and forth between the logical and the creative pieces of it, and they can like marry the two. And so I'm working very hard to, improve that and embrace that and use that as like my God-given skills that I need to help the world with. So.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I wanted you to talk about that because I think it's so special.
It is.
I mean, I think we all can use both sides of our brain. I don't mean to say that people don't, but to be as fully developed as you are, I feel like is rare. I am much more on the creative side of my brain than the logical. It's like spreadsheets make me crazy. I use them. I can use them effectively. I know how, but I don't get lost in them. I don't get excited by them. And I know women who do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm friends with them.
Right.
Because they're better at it.
You can delegate to that person.
or ask for help or guidance when I need it so that I can, improve on that when needed. If I was working in a team, I would delegate that to them. I would be like, you're my girl for this.
Yep.
But if you want to like explore ideas and have a conversation around strategy or vision, I'm your girl. Mm-hmm. Like that tends to be where my strengths lie. And so I just really love having such a diverse group of friends that have different strengths. Mm-hmm. And that's part of one of the reasons that I love spending time with you is that you understand and see things differently than I do.
Yeah. I think too, something I just want to applaud in you, and I see some of my story in your story too, because you're now doing something you didn't go to school for and you love it. And I think, we hear so often about this idea of what are you meant for? What's your destiny and all of that kind of stuff. And so many people struggle with this. What am I here for? What is my purpose? And I think what's so interesting is what I have found is that the desires of your heart, not the things that like sound good, but the things that don't let go of you, the things that you are thinking about in the middle of the night, you're thinking about when you wake up in the morning, those are kind of the flags marking your way. So like as you were an engineer and it was fulfilling that part of your brain and you liked it, but there was something missing. And then as you just let time kind of happen, you get these desires in your heart that evolve out of just personal experience. Like, hey, my house is not functional. But then that evolves into a desire to make that for other people. And you followed that desire. I think that's just so interesting because I believe that our desires, our true heart's desires, are given by God. And I think that He places them there to guide us into what we're supposed to be doing. So I just want to point that out and applaud the bravery that it takes to go, okay, I went to school for this and it was cool and I'm going to go a different direction that is more fulfilling and that I can feel a passion for and that fulfills all sides of what I'm good at and what I love to do, Well,
and I think we could probably talk 2 hours on my opinion of school and schooling and educational training and all those things. I think I think the biggest lesson that people who go to formal education, especially even K through 12, I mean, the ultimate goal is to teaching you how to find the solution on what you're doing, right? And yes, there's professions that you can hone in on and professional skills. I mean, like my civil engineering and, being that. I really see it more as a natural transition too. I mean, there is not a single day in what I guess we would classify my business as an interior design firm that I don't utilize some of the skill sets and tasks that I learned as an engineer. And I think that's one thing that is resonating with the clients that we do serve right now is, that formal training that taught me how to problem solve, that taught me how to look at things from a logical standpoint and coming up with logical, constructible solutions that can be implemented to solve a particular set of problems. It's not roads and bridges anymore. It's homes and offices and, roof lines and all the nitty gritty that you get into. So I do think that God uses all of us to fulfill His ultimate plan, right? Like He has a purpose and a path that we're all walking. And I think it's very special when we're able to figure out what our role in that looks like. And whether that's exactly aligns with what we got our formal training in, or it's taking our formal training and tweaking it a bit to be able to do something else, to to be the church, like out in the world and help, the ultimate plan that he has in place for us. I think that's the critical piece of all of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think purpose evolves.
It does, yeah.
Like people have asked me what my purpose is, and for a moment, I thought it was one thing, and then I thought it was something else. But I think like deep down, like when you get to the root of it, like I think we're each meant here to be like the fullest expression of ourselves, and to love each other and be connected, and just to be kind. And so it looks differently for each person, and how you walk that path looks differently. And I'm not trying to place my purpose on anybody else. This is just my opinion. But when I've tried to dig down deep to really understand like what motivates and drives, I think it's love and connectedness, whether that's through friendship or through relationship or through your work. Like I think that we're meant to be that fullest expression of ourselves and our gifts. And so that's part of what I love about spending time with both of you, is that gift has looked a little bit different in different parts of your lives.
Right.
And yet you have fully expressed yourself and been shown up as best you can through that, with passion, with, Ashley was talking about the last time we met about how her formal education in education helps guide her through what she does in photography. It helps her to ask better questions.
And being a mom. I have pulled on that skill set.
Right. And mine's totally different. I mean, I just have such a different path than both of you, because I don't have the 4-year degree. I have a lot of experience dealing with people.
Yep.
And I went into the workforce at an early age. And so I had to learn and adapt very quickly to reading how to interact with a variety of people. Like my people skills had to elevate very fast. And so like I can carry on a conversation with just about anybody now. But in high school, in college, nobody taught me that. It straight up came from being thrown into the workforce when I was 21 years old, and everyone around me was at least 10 years older than me. And we didn't have much in common.
Well, that is an education in itself.
Yep.
So,
Right.
I mean,
100%.
To me, the diploma, and I have one that hangs on the wall, and I'm very proud of the work that I did to be able to get that. But what that was just a key to open a door to a room for me to get in. And neither one of my parents, in fact, no one in my family was ever college educated. And that was one of the things my parents both pushed for. Well, you're going to have that paper on the wall. You're going to be able to open that door. And I'm very thankful that they did that for me. And I think that it helped. But I don't think that's the only way to open the door. I mean, I think hard work, determination, perseverance, those are the things that, in life is an education. And I think that people can discover what their purpose is and be able to contribute, even regardless of if there's a piece of paper hanging on their wall or not.
Amen.
I'm probably not a spokesperson for a university. So
yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, and it depends on the person and their path that they need to follow, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I really thought that was my path, leaving out of high school, and my parents wanted me to. And I mean, I do have an associate's degree. It's not, I just didn't follow the path of like academia. And I think I would have enjoyed it, actually. Like in another life, if we're in a multiverse or whatever, maybe that's where I'm at.
Mandee's.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a professor somewhere.
Right.
Because I do value formal education. I don't mean to make it sound like I don't.
No.
It just ended up not being the path that I chose. And I've surrounded myself with a lot of people who did choose that. So that's interesting. But I think this ties nicely into kind of how we like to wrap up our podcast, Brooke. Okay. I think we could spend 2 hours with you, and maybe you'll come back in the future. I hope so. But what gets you up in the morning and keeps you up at night? What would you consider your passion?
Well, usually what gets me up in the morning is there's some kid in my bedroom that is getting me up in the morning.
That is real.
What keeps me up is Coca-Cola and this Route 44 Sonic drink that I am gushing down at the moment. And what puts me to bed at night is probably the melatonin that I have to take to get over this Route 44 Sonic drink that I drink all day. So,
and her sense of humor.
So with you, sister. Oh man.
Okay.
Yep.
Check. Next question.
Passion? What would you consider your passion?
Yes.
Yeah.
My passion.
That's the tricky one.
Well, I think my passion would be I'm simply trying to just love on people, right? Like that's what I'm supposed to be here to do. I mean, I'm a Christian, and so Jesus said that was our greatest commandment was to love one another, and I'm trying to walk out that passion. I'm more successful some days than others, especially when I get stuck on traffic on South Broadway. That love is a little difficult, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Have I told you my trick about that? What I do? And it confuses people when they're in the car with me and they see it happen. It happened with you, didn't it? When we were going down to get these chairs that we're sitting in.
Tell me what you did.
Somebody cut me off.
Uh-huh.
When people cut me off in traffic, my initial reaction is to be
Yes.
frustrated. But I have trained myself and conditioned myself over the last 20 years because it used to really make me angry. Like I wouldn't say I ever had road rage, but it used to really bother me because I like to go fast. If I'm being honest, I like to go fast. So what I do is I take a deep breath and I force myself to smile, and then I pray over that person. And I just say, Lord, please get that person to where they're going. They're probably having a day that is really frustrating them, and they look like they're in a hurry. Please get them there safely and
Yep.
bless the people that are around them so that they get where they're going safely. And that sounds so cheesy. I know. I don't mean to sound, but it makes me feel better in the moment.
Yeah.
And hopefully gives that person a little bit of some kind of vibe or blessing or feeling that keeps them safe.
I like it. I'll try it.
You can try it.
I can try it.
Okay. This one gets fun answers. What scares you? What are you most afraid of?
Not making an impact. So, especially with my daughters. I have 3 daughters and a very understanding husband. And we say all the time that with our girls, we're training them to be dragon slayers because the world needs more dragon slayers in it, and they need more people that are armed with what the tools and the knowledge to be able to be a productive and confident person in this world. And so that, I guess, would probably be my biggest fear is I don't live that out as either being an example for my girls or just equipping them with the training that they need in order to be those dragon slayers in life.
Yep.
I definitely want to hear more about that on another podcast. Don't you?
Yeah.
Because you've got a little girl too.
I do. She's 3. That third one, that hits different.
I have another friend, and when she posts on social media, that's what she calls him, that third kid.
That third kid, Yeah.
Yeah, my third one is absolutely loving all, she's like a little koala, she's so sweet, and then she turns on you. And
Sour Patch
she
Kid.
is, she's mean as a snake. I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, I think.
Because you don't worry about her. You know that, like, at least for me, Charlie, my little girl, I really don't. She has 2 older brothers, which helps too. But I don't worry so much about her getting her feelings hurt. I feel like she's going to be very confident and stand up for herself. And I wasn't necessarily that way. So I'm like, okay, this is good. It's just, stewarding it in a way that's like, hey, also, let's be kind. And I'm on your team and I love you. So please don't be mean to me. Yeah.
There you go.
Those things. So we borrowed a question from another podcaster that we like to incorporate. Ashley, do you want to go there?
We took this question from Rachel Hollis, her Rise podcast. Okay. But what is your coffee order?
Well, that's easy. Coffee, bleh.
What?
Can't do coffee
I'm
whatsoever.
sorry. Let me take a sip of my coffee while I digest that answer.
see that sound? That's a much better solution. So Sonic, Route 44, classic Coca-Cola, at least one hit a day, if not a couple. So that is my coffee order.
I love it. I love her answer. This is great. Okay.
I know. I knew you would love Brooke. She's hard not to love. Okay, but I think you have a real order for this one.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Good.
A real order.
That was my real order. Like, no, seriously. Like, you can find me at Sonic in the morning.
I know. Do you have a favorite cocktail?
Oh, God, now we can't pick a favorite. That's like picking a favorite kid, right? Oh, wine, margaritas.
Red or white?
Paloma. Well, I started out as a white girl. Like, I think, I am a white girl, first off. Let me just say that. I started out as a white wine lover. Maybe you can edit that out. Maybe. Okay. But I started surrounding myself with classier friends. Not that white wine's not classy, but, they taught me how to drink red wine now, and I'm able to not order it very, from an educational standpoint, like very educated in the whether it's leathered or floral or whatever the things are and how the barrels are crusted and all that. But yeah, I can drink red now. So nice. I feel like I can fit into some of those events that require red wine versus you are cracking up over here. Are
you over here swirling your glass and the bouquet is wonderful.
Oh yeah. I can fake Brooke. That with the best of them. So swirl my glass, smell it. Don't get your nose too close because that could be really awkward. But yeah. So, what cocktails would you like to have? Because I don't know if I've met one that I don't like. So, yeah, we can do all those.
Okay. All of them.
All of
the above.
Okay. All of the above.
So you're open to trying new things?
If it has, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Final question. If you were given the opportunity to go on a dream trip, somebody is taking care of all of your travel expenses, the airfare, the hotel. We're not putting you up someplace cheap. You can definitely go someplace lovely.
Bougie.
Yeah, bougie. Where would you go?
As long as it is on the beach somewhere, I am okay with as bougie as possible. So, it would just need to be a beach somewhere with a really nice cabana and a nice breeze. Probably a good-looking cabana boy that brings me those cocktails. That would really help. I mean, my husband could be there too. I don't mind if he joins. Yeah. So
the beach.
The beach, any beach. I'm not really picky.
What do you love so much about the beach?
It's the water, like the sound and the feel of the gritty sand in between your toes, and to me, that is relaxing. I love walking. This is going to sound cheesy. I love walking on the beach to where, the waves are coming up, right? And you can see your footprints and everything else. And then a couple of waves come up and they wash your footprints away. To me, that is just such a reminder about life, right? Like, we're only here for a short period of time and our impact is real, and we need to take the time to realize that, walk the best walk that we can walk, and then let time and God take it from there. So,
love it.
Oh, Brooke, I knew you'd be such a great guest today. Thank you. So to wrap things up, I'm sure that there are people who have listened to this and they're like, how do I hire her? Or how do I get in contact with this amazing woman? So what is the best way to reach you?
Our website is probably the best way to go and reach us at this point in time. It is simply LittleCreek.Co.com.
LittleCreek.Co.com. That's the best place.
That's the best place. It has all of our services, our offerings, and there's a contact form there. And either myself or my team, we get back with everybody within 24 hours of submitting there. So.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Y'all are great. And good job in what you're doing here.
Thanks.
The Celebrating Women podcast wants to hear from you. Find us on social media at facebook.com/Celebrating Women Podcast, or on Instagram, search Celebrating Women Podcast, or look for the username Celebrating_Women_Podcast.
You can also email us. We'd love to hear your story or hear the story of an incredible woman that you know. You can email us at celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. That's right. Email us at celebratingwomenpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the Celebrating Women podcast.